So now I'm going to show you how to plant some tomatoes in the boxes, in the pots that I put out the other day. I've only got 3 varieties here at the moment. I'm going to have a cucumber in the middle and 3 other varieties at the end. So they're all going to be 6 different varieties of tomatoes. And the ones I have here are Yellow Delight, and I have Alicante. Yellow Delight is a little yellow pear. This is an average sort of red tomato. And this is Marmande. And the Marmande is a huge beef tomato, one of my favourites. So in these pots, which I've a quarter sunk, I've put earth, just normal earth, and then I've filled it with compost. So normally I would put horse manure in there, but I didn't have any, and I thought I've got some delicious compost. I could even eat it myself, and I thought that might raise a titter. And I'm going to just plant firstly my Yellow Delight, and I want you to just look at the root system there. They're well ready to plant. So I'm just going to take all this growth off the top. Whether it's cute tomatoes or other things, it's irrelevant. I've got so many. They're just wild seed everywhere. And I'm going to plant this down as deep as I can get it, so fairly deep. And the point of it going so deep is I'm going to make sure that some of those little tiny furry bits of the base of the plant are covered in the soil. Now, I've left a good 2 to 3 inches on the top, and the reason for that is that I'm going to then put a layer of wood chip up to about here, so just to leave a little lip, and the wood chip will preserve the water, and it will make sure that when I put water in this pot, it goes only around the roots of the tomatoes, and all of the surplus water will go straight into the ground, which is where the deepest roots will take their water source from. We've had a lot of rain in the last week or so, so the ground is already quite moist, which is fantastic. It's a really good time to be planting, because the ground has really retained a lot of moisture, and then when you put the wood chip on the top, it just retains all of that moisture. So what I'll do is I'll plant these up and I'll show you what happens after. So in front of us we have the 3 tomatoes which we were talking about before that I've planted up. I've got 3 more to do this side. But I just wanted to show you these tomatoes are very well developed. They've been in their pots long enough now, and they need to go in the ground. But they're already producing side shoots. So I want to show you what you can do with a side shoot. So firstly, you have to identify what they look like. Can you see that? Mm-hmm. So there's your side shoot, and we're just going to nip that out. Some people cut them with scissors or cut them with a knife. It really doesn't matter. Now, there's nothing wrong with them. They're lovely. But if you don't take them out, you'll have more leaf than fruit. And since the aim of growing these is to produce fruit, not leaves, it's just a little bit of management of your tomatoes to make sure that they produce the most beautiful fruit. So there's your eggshells, and I don't know how many eggs, many as you can see, and this is what I'm going to do with them. I'll show you how many to put on. People say, oh, do I put a lot on, do I put a little on? So I'm just going to put probably a handful there like that, just mix them in. So about a handful. As you can see, they're quite small. You should only need to do this once in the whole season. Just gives them extra nutrients, and then when you get round to it, maybe once a fortnight, you can water with a bit of comfrey tea mixed with water, which I've done a video on, and that should do it. Just an average amount of like that around. And now the last thing I'm going to do, even though the soil is wet and there's been plenty of rain, just going to make sure they get some water at the roots. Now the thing with tomatoes is, she says, splashing all the stems, is you need to avoid splashing the stems if you can. I mean, once or twice, it's not harmful. The problem is when you get deluges in the summer and they splash up. There's something called tomato blight, which sits in the soil like a spore rather, and it splashes up with the rain, and once that starts touching the bottom leaves, they can actually infect the whole plant. So so what you can do to reduce that is in fact put wood chip round, which is what I do, because then the microbes from the soil can't reach the plant. But when you're watering them manually, is try to avoid watering the leaves or the stem and get the water in the roots where it belongs. I should think, this is a tiny watering can, obviously I'd use a bigger one normally. This is the first thing that came to hand, and just making sure they get a good amount of water, each of them, into the roots. That just helps the roots, because they've just been transplanted. There's been a bit of transplant trauma, there always is when you transplant something. So the water goes straight in to kind of help the plant move on. And this is a variety, sorry, just as one more, this is a variety called Sonia. Never grown it before, so that will be interesting to see what that grows into.